Welcome back to another edition of Ravens Online on Gatekeepers. It's your man here, Hendo, bringing you some more Baltimore Ravens news. Even though there seems to not be much lately, even the media has seemed to slow down on Lamar Jackson, but we're going to give it a go and try to update you on a couple things. So let's get it started. Okay, we are mere hours away from teams being able to use or designate the tag on specific players for the team that they want to keep around or they kind of want to use as trade bait. So, February 21st starts or begins the official timeline. The teams have a 15-day window where they can either put the transition tag or the franchise tag on a player. Now, there's a difference between the two. One, if you put the transition tag on a player, you still give them the right to be unrestricted free agents, but the team has right of first refusal. And what that means is if a team decides to sign a player or put them under contract, that team has the ability to match that offer. So it's kind of we want you, but we don't want to overpay for you. So we'll give you the opportunity to go out here and see what your worth is. And if a team overbids, they're going to be like, you know what? You go ahead and make that money. We're going to go in another direction. Now, one of the biggest differences with the transition tag is teams do not get compensation if they lose a player, unlike with the franchise tag. The franchise tag, they can kind of name their price if they do the exclusive franchise tag, but if they do the non-exclusive franchise tag, they will get 2 first-round picks if they end up losing a player. So as of tomorrow, we will be able to see the Baltimore Ravens' seriousness when it comes to Lamar Jackson and how they feel about him. Now, is there some way possible that they could get a long-term deal done overnight? Anything's possible. I mean, listen, if you think it or you believe it, you can achieve it. And I believe they can get this man signed if they do one of those late night studies, one of those cram sessions and kind of get it in. I believe they can sign Lamar if they really want to. Now, if they don't, we're going to have to kind of sit and wait. And I hate when things happen on a Tuesday because I'm off on Mondays. So I have all day pretty much to sit around, check the news, see what's going on, get on Twitter, watch the networks, do all these other things to get the information. But once I'm at work, some days it's kind of like I get to work at 7:30, I get off at like 5, and that whole day I am not able to check my phone. But I think tomorrow I'm going to make a concerted effort to kind of look and see what's going on because I don't take my phone with me in customers' homes. I leave it outside because I don't think a lot of them would appreciate my ringtones. But that's another story. That's just something else. So hopefully they can get Lamar signed to a long-term deal. We don't know what's going to happen with the franchise tag. Tomorrow is actually going to say a lot to me about how they feel about him. Now, are they going to do it early? As soon as that window opens up, are they going to tag him? Are they going to wait? Are they going to kind of grind it down to the 11th hour to get a long-term deal done? Nobody wants the franchise tag. It eats up too much cap space. And I don't think players like being up under it. Now, for 1 year, it does give them a nice chunk of change, but it doesn't give them long-term stability, which a lot of athletes like. Now, some athletes, they're used to making 200, 350,000 a year, and then they'll get a franchise tag for 18 mil. Of course, like it, love it, indifference to it. It is what it is. But then you have some athletes that know their potential. They know their earning market, and they know, hey, for you, this $45 million tag may be a lot of money. Because for me, I'll take it. I'll do it 1 year. What y'all need me to do? I will run the football, catch the football, clean the facilities, cut the grass, deliver the uniforms, whatever y'all need me to do, Baltimore, I'm here for it. But to some, it's a slap in the face. Now, not to say that that's what Lamar is thinking or what Lamar is saying, but to me, the disrespect comes in. I've done everything that you've asked of me as a star player. As your number one guy, I've done everything you wanted. But in turn, when it comes time for the recompensatory payment, when it comes time for me to get paid my value. Because I've always said it. He's our leading passer. He's been our leading rusher. So that's two salaries right there that you can combine and kind of start where his salary negotiation begins. But some athletes, they feel like it may be total disrespect that we're even having this conversation and we're taking this long. Because if you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, and I hate to go there, but look at what Jalen Hurts has done. Now, Jalen Hurts was not a first-round pick, so he does not get that fifth-year option. Like, they can't hit him with that fifth-year guarantee, so they pretty much have to negotiate now, maybe wait another year and see if he balls out again, which is only going to bring his price up, or sign him now, which would be the smart thing. Now, we've proven that he is a franchise quarterback going forward. We believe in him. We want to build around him. So let's get him while he is at his cheapest. Unlike the Ravens, who decided, all right, you did what you did in 2019. Let's take a little bit away from you and see if you can continue this ascension as to one of the better quarterbacks in the league. And he did. Unfortunately, he got hurt. But of course, when you have to do everything and muscle fatigue comes in and all of these other things, you get hurt. When I have to do everything at my job, I get hurt. When I'm constantly and consistently having to do everything, you get little nicks, you get little pains. But then on top of that, when you don't start feeling, or you don't think that your job or your employer is reciprocating the same energy that you are putting out, you give less energy. I don't care if it's fabricated, if it's real. Some days it's like, my back hurt, I can't come to work. It happens when you start to feel disrespected. Now, Jalen Hurts has been rumored that Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles and the general manager, they've said, listen, money's not an option. We've seen what we needed to see out this young man. He's a gentleman off the field. He doesn't get in trouble. He's not disrespectful, and he can ball out. They didn't think that about him after his second year, but after this past season, they've seen what they needed to see, and they fully invested in him. They've given him 2 number 1 wide receivers. They've built an offensive line around him. They've given him a running game. They've put an offensive coordinator with him that's going to maximize his talents, and they said, okay, you've done everything we've asked you to do, so now you get paid. Lamar Jackson doesn't have that. They take players from him that weren't that good to begin with. If we're going to be honest, we can say, hey, we gave him Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is good in spurts. Mark Andrews had a phenomenal year the season before this one. But we still ask too much of Lamar. Then when it comes time to give that man his money, it's like, oh, he don't deserve it. What has he done in the playoffs? Well, what has John Harbaugh done in the playoffs recently to deserve an extension? To deserve to still be the head coach of the team? What has he done? It's always about what has, and I won't even say Lamar. When it comes to Baltimore Ravens and their fans, when it comes to players getting paid, it's always about, well, what have they done? Who do they think they are? Why do they think they deserve this amount of money? Because without Lamar Jackson, we don't get these primetime games. Without Lamar Jackson, we don't get exposure as a franchise. We don't fill these seats. We're not on television. So that's who I think Lamar Jackson is. Whether you think he can pass, whether you think he's a running back, whether you think he's over, under, hyped, what so be it. This man puts fans in the stands. Point blank, period. So when it comes to him making his money for this franchise, why not give it to him? And we already know these are billionaires. If this man wants $240, $250 million guaranteed, Steve Bisciotti has that money to give it to him. It's no doubt about it. Steve Bisciotti is a billionaire over and over and over and over again. It's not about the money. It's about positioning. I think that Jamie Foxx said it best in Any Given Sunday. He told Al Pacino, he said, maybe it's not racism. It's placism. A brother got to know his place. And you, my brother, coming in here asking me for a fully guaranteed contract with no agent, how dare you? How dare you think that I'm going to acquiesce to your demands? It's not going to happen. Who are you? Even though personally they may love Lamar, but business aside, personal aside, they may just feel like, listen, my ego is too big for me to give into your demands, because it's going to set a precedent. It's going to start something in the NFL that they cannot turn back from. Now, with Deshaun Watson, one is an anomaly, but two, you start a trend. And if you start guaranteeing contracts in the most violent sport that they have out there, which all of their contracts technically to me should be guaranteed anyway, because the life expectancy, the quality of life for NFL players versus a lot or majority of other sports franchises, it doesn't hold up. And you want to pay them the least amount of money for the most physically demanding sport. So what I say is, hey, Lamar, get your money. Get your money. Do what you need to do. Get what you feel that you're worth. Because I don't know if it's, I know Engraven has said it, and a couple of others have said it before in their videos. You're not going to go to your job and say, hey, I'm going to take a pay cut. You asked me to do all of this work. You asked me to do all of these things. But yeah, I'll take a pay cut for the sake of the company. But you all want Lamar to do that. Some stuff that you would not do at your job. Now, I understand he gets paid on a different scale than most of us do, but it's still the same principles. You would not take a pay cut at your job for a job making billions of dollars to give them the hometown discount. You want as much money as you possibly can. You want as much money as you feel that you are worth. So stop telling that man what he's worth, because I can't tell you what that man's worth. I think he's worth a lot, but I can't give you a fact on what he's worth, especially to this organization, to this city, to this town, to these people. You know, I didn't even mean for this to be a rant. I just wanted to talk about the franchise tag and how it is coming up tomorrow. The transition tag, which Lamar would never get, because the Ravens are going to want to get something out of it. But it just led me down this hole of what's to happen next. You know, Jalen Hurts is up. Justin Herbert's up. Joe Burrow's up. And for this franchise tag, it is the top 5 cap hits of the top 5 quarterbacks over the last 5 years. Now, you let these other quarterbacks get signed, and it may bring it down some, depending upon their first year cap hits. I used to think that it was the actual salary, but I think now it's the cap hits of the last 5 years. But even still, you get these cap hits in, it's still going to be $40-something million. $40-something million against the cap that we don't have right now, because we're only $26 million. We only have $26 million to spend at this point in time. It's $40-something million. What you going to do next year? What are you going to do next year when Burrow, when Herbert, when Hurts, when the escalators kick in and their salaries go up? What's going to happen when these other quarterbacks that are nearing the end or getting close to last year's of their contract get extensions, and it raises the cap up again? Because even without it right now, the projection is what, 55, 57, 2 years, $100 million, totally against the cap. So what happens then? You've got 2 years at an average of $50 million cap hit per year. And what's the first thing y'all gonna say? Well, Lamar Jackson is the reason that we couldn't sign anybody else. It's definitely the reason. It's got to be. $50 million, it's a lot of money. But if he signs a long-term, fully guaranteed contract, it's still Lamar Jackson is signed for too much money. We can't sign anybody else. But other teams figure a way out. But other teams figure a way to do it. I just don't understand. Why is it as a franchise, we seem to be one of the few, or one of the only ones that we can't sign a quarterback or anybody else, but we can give an off-ball linebacker $100 million. Nobody's complaining about that. You all never complain when it comes to a defensive player. You all wanted to give the team a pass on signing a middle linebacker in today's NFL for $100 million, and then you still want them to go out there and get the 5th-year option on Patrick Queen or sign him to a long-term deal. Not saying he doesn't deserve it, not saying he's not worthy of the money, but you are willing to put all of this money into 2 players on defense. But the most important person in this franchise, the catalyst of this team, the only reason that this team is really winners, as you can see, and I don't want to hear the we almost, because we can almost for the last 26 years with the Ravens. We almost a lot of things. But what did we actually do? And we won with Lamar. Playoffs, we can have another discussion about that. But you're okay with giving up all this money on defense. But when it comes to the most important player, we're nitpicking and talking about what he's worth and what he's not worth, and he can go. One thing I don't really care for with Baltimore fans, not all of you, but a lot of you, is y'all turn on people so quick. Y'all are so quick to him being beloved one day, but when it comes payday, it's let's bring out all his flaws. Apparently, he had all those flaws when you loved him, but now when it comes for payday, and we need a reason why, if he goes somewhere else and we don't sign him, we need that built-in reason as to why we don't like him. Because he was going to do this to the team. He was going to bring up the team. No, he wasn't. What happened with the Rams? And I'm waiting for this discussion, and you can come in the comments. You can let me know. We can have a discussion. Yeah, did the Rams suck this year? Yes, they did. They didn't suck because of injury, because of salary cap reasons. They sucked because of injury. And it all started with the offensive line and trickled down to Cooper Kupp, trickled down to Matt Stafford, Aaron Donald. It wasn't salary cap. It was injuries. And I think they've done more in the last 5 years than the Baltimore Ravens have with their right player, right price, best player available. Rams been in 2 Super Bowls, won 1. When is the last time we've been to a Super Bowl? So all I ask is, let's just stop making excuses as to what we are not doing. Hold our breath. See what happens tomorrow. Because tomorrow is the beginning of the beginning, or tomorrow is the beginning of the end. And I hope it's the former and not the latter. Hit me up, let me know what y'all think. Until next time, y'all. Your boy out.